For thousands of years, we've been under the impression the Bible is meant to be taken seriously. Finally, a new translation that'll change all that. This is Oh My God, What the Fuck Bible. Reach out, touch space. What is happening? Welcome to episode 42 of Oh My God, What the Fuck Bible with me, David Tuchman. I'm at my house in front of a small gathering of friends. We've moved away from the big shows at bars and clubs and synagogues because it's a lot easier to get things together at my house. And gosh, I'm translating the Bible. It's a lot of work. Each month on this show, a guest joins me and tries to read as many chapters as possible of my own personal translation of the Hebrew Bible while I make fun of it. And tonight we're reading the first portion of Bamidbar, known in Hebrew as Midbar, and in English as, well, you'll see. This is the first episode of season 4, so thank you all for being here tonight, and thank you for listening. I'm really excited to get started. It's March 18th. I've taken some time off from the show, I suppose, since late September, when we finished season 3. It's been a pretty eventful time in the world. The world has changed quite a bit since I last recorded this, and I feel like I got a little bit distracted. I used to, in my free time, work on this, and since we elected a crazy person as president, I've been reading a lot about fascism and a lot about politics and just really dove into that, so it's taken time away from this. I don't think it's time ill-spent, but I apologize that it's taken me away from you and from giving you this show. So thank you for sticking with me, because a lot of people have been asking me on Twitter, on Facebook, wherever, when the show is coming back. Well, it's back now, so welcome back to it. We're going to try to schedule this. It's going to be an interesting mix of live small shows like this one and some that are not even live at all. I'm probably going to have some people call in and we'll do it over the phone and from getting in touch with people from other places who I wanted to have on the show for a while. But since we're doing it at this smaller scale, they'll be able to be on the show. So that'll be really fun. And my goal is to have it come out every 2 weeks. So this one might be a little bit delayed in that I'm recording it on March 18th, but it might not come out for a couple weeks as I prepare the schedule so that I can actually deliver this to you every 2 weeks. And that's it. Welcome to season 4. We only have one more book left after this one, the first big piece of the Torah, so that's going to be really fun. Reach out to me online if you want to. I'm always on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Email me. I got an email a week ago that told me that I was wrong about something that I translated back in Genesis, and I'm going to respond to it, I promise, but I really enjoy hearing from you. Let's get to your guest. Are you guys ready to meet our guest? This is a person I've known for a little while, and I'm really excited to have her on the show. She's... I guess I would call her a Yiddishist. She's the host of a podcast called VAYBERTAYTSH. VAYBERTAYTSH. Okay, VAYBERTAYTSH.
Well
please welcome Sandy Fox.
Hi.
Everybody clap, I guess. It's weird not doing this in a big place. Hi, Sandy. How are you?
I'm good. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me on your premiere of the newest season.
I'm very excited to have you on for this.
Yeah.
When you launched your podcast, I was like, I want to have Sandy on as soon as possible. Or am I saying your name correctly? I'm sorry.
My English name?
Your English. Okay, so
my English name is Sandy.
Your English name is Sandy. I was a little bit thrown.
My Yiddish name is Sosia.
Okay,
but you can call me Sandy because you've known me
Sandy,
before my Yiddish life even began.
Okay.
Yeah.
Taking those off. I just took off headphones. I'm going to edit me saying this out. So.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been wanting to have you on for a while, and you've got a lot of episodes of VAYBERTAYTSH in since it launched, and it's making me a little bit embarrassed. But I wanted to ask you a little bit about, first of all, you just got back from Israel, so you've kind of been bouncing all over the place.
I did.
How are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm a little punchy because, in my head, it's the middle of the night, but right. I think that's good for this.
And
I think that's going to work in our favor.
Here. Yeah. I wanted to do a little bit of research, so I downloaded your podcast and I started to listen to it, and I quickly ran into a problem. Your podcast is in Yiddish.
Yeah.
So what is it about? Because I don't know.
First of all, there are one or two sort of short episodes in English. So one that kind of explains how to access it if you're not a Yiddish speaker or a beginner Yiddish speaker.
Okay.
But basically, VAYBERTAYTSH is what I call a feminist podcast in Yiddish.
What does VAYBERTAYTSH mean?
VAYBERTAYTSH is the words. Actually, it's kind of related to what we're doing. So back in Eastern Europe, Women didn't go to cheder or yeshiva to do traditional Jewish learning. They were barred from it. It wasn't by choice. And men would write translations of the Torah in Yiddish for them. And that was called VAYBERTAYTSH many times. Weiber means women, but it also kind of means wives. And Taitch means kind of translation. So it's the original mansplaining, basically.
Taitch, yes.
It's the original mansplaining, and I wanted to flip it on its head.
Mm-hmm.
So in the Yiddish world, a lot of the organizations today, and actually a lot of the basis of Yiddishism was really driven by men. And actually Yiddishism, a lot like Zionism, had something to do with a sort of new form of Jewish masculinity. So one idea of VAYBERTAYTSH is to create a feminist space in Yiddish and sort of use Mama Lashon to talk about the lives of women and in all sorts of different ways. So we don't talk about Yiddish, we talk about our lives and everything in it in Yiddish.
And Yiddish is just kind of the medium for it, or just the language that it's spoken in. It's a Yiddish language podcast.
Exactly.
Or it's a feminist podcast that's Yiddish language. That's kind of secondary to it in a sense.
Yeah, it's part of my activism as a Yiddishist is basically believing that in order for Yiddish to be alive and well, it needs to be used as an everyday language and not only used in reference to itself. Mm-hmm. So a lot of Yiddish in the world today, unless you're talking about Hasidim, is Yiddish in reference to itself, like Yiddish academia, for example. And that's all well and good. And I'm also involved in those circles. But if we're not using it to talk about our everyday lives, our relationships, sex, music, anything that's important to you, then is it, a living language outside the Hasidic world? And I think the answer is no. There are a lot of Yiddish speakers in New York, for example, and also in other places in the world who communicate and hang out together. And I think that's also a way of keeping the language healthy. But this was a way of creating a new form of media because there's a lot of writing in Yiddish still. There's the Farvert's Yiddish newspaper, and there's other Yiddish media outlets that are writing, but there's very little going on in audio and in audio visual. I thought it was an important medium to sort of bring to everyone in the Yiddish world and sort of be kind of user generated. Right.
And it sounds like, to your point, if it's going to be a living language, then it needs to exist in every medium. It can't just be a few Yiddish newspapers or something that's studied.
Definitely. And also, as someone who learned Yiddish later in life, I only learned it about 4 years ago, there's not a lot of opportunities or ways to access listening to Yiddish. Mm-hmm. So when I learned Hebrew, it was really easy to watch Israeli television or listen to Israeli radio. But with Yiddish, there's not a lot of that. And I didn't really know what it was supposed to sound like. I really didn't know what it was supposed to sound like in this day and age and from the mouths of women, like at all. Because basically, if you want to hear a recording, you might hear this great comedy duo, Gigan and Schumacher, that were around in kind of the mid-20th. But that's the voices of men. And a lot of their jokes are really misogynistic. And it was the time period, and I can accept that. But I was like, where do I learn how to speak Yiddish as a woman? Where do I hear voices that sound authentic to me? And so I don't think my voice is the authoritative voice of how to sound like a Yiddish-speaking woman in the 20th century, but I hope by interviewing, and also I'm not the only one who makes episodes. I produce all of them, but it's also user generated, so that there's going to be this collection of Yiddish speaking voices of women.
Wow. And
of other feminists. It's not just women, it's also, trans people and even men.
I mean, it's very important that you create the space that you want to see in the world. I mean, you're saying, how am I going to find a voice that's authentic to me? You create it. You've created your own voice, so it has to be authentic to you, I think, if you're the one who's leading that. So that's really awesome. Yeah. And you're creating a space for other people too.
Yeah.
That's great.
Plus, when I speak in English on a podcast, it's really easy. It's like
you don't have to think as much about it.
When I was on swim team, when I was a kid, when you were practicing, they would make you wear multiple bathing suits to slow you down, so that when you went to the swim meet, you would be really fast. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's what I'm doing. Like I'm wearing like these weights on me when I'm doing a Yiddish podcast, and then when I'm recording in English, it's just like, oh, wow, speaking my own language turns out to be really easy.
It's very surprising, isn't it?
Yeah.
You mentioned that when I first knew you, you mentioned that you started doing this about 4 years ago. What turned you into a Yiddishist, I suppose?
I started learning Yiddish mainly for an academic interest. I'm getting my PhD at NYU, and I study American Jewish history. Though at the time I was studying Israel studies and Arabic just wasn't really working out. And my friend Naftali, who at the time ran the Yiddish farm in upstate New York, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a Yiddish speaking farm. He said, you should come up.
What does the cow say in Yiddish?
I don't remember.
Do they all
how every language has, different animal sounds,
exactly.
but I don't remember what a cow does. Or any animal for that
fox.
matter. That's not what I focus on per se. But anyway, he said, come up to my farm and learn Yiddish. And I thought, yeah, actually, that's a really good idea. I could probably learn Yiddish in an immersive space way faster than I'll ever be able to learn enough Arabic for this exam. And around that time, I was losing interest in Israel studies anyway. And I kind of saw myself going more in the direction of studying American Jewish history. And I went to the farm for a 2-week program. I just kind of shockingly fell in love with the language. I didn't think I was going to. I grew up in a Zionist youth movement, and I think I had a little bit of my defenses up, kind of I'm not sure we need this. I wasn't anti-Yiddish, but I didn't understand why I would connect to it or why I would need it. And then as soon as I was able to utter a full sentence in Yiddish, it kind of felt like, whoa, this is my language. This sounds right. This sounds like what my ancestors spoke, and this feels normal coming out of my mouth in a way that Hebrew, I speak Hebrew, but it doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel like it's mine.
Mm-hmm. Is there a lot of Yiddish in your family?
Not really. All of my grandparents were born in America. All of them. So
I
don't
even
talk
talk about your ancestors. It's really your ancestors.
Yeah, I mean, their parents spoke Yiddish theoretically. Right. But it's not close. A lot of people my age who've learned Yiddish, they get excited to speak to their grandparents. That's not really my reality. So I go out of my way, like when I'm in Israel, to meet Holocaust survivors who speak Hamish Yiddish from Teral Teham, the old country. And I want to go to Australia. So if anyone's listening from Australia and wants to fly me in, I really want to meet people who speak Yiddish over there, because there's, there are certain communities in the world with a larger percentage of Yiddish speakers who learned in Eastern Europe. So,
is Yiddish related to what you're working on your PhD?
Yeah, somewhat. I study American Jewish summer camps in the post-war period, and I look at Zionist and Yiddishist summer camps, but alongside also denominational summer camps. And I look at the ways in which they use different forms of performance and simulation to, quote unquote, transform children into authentic Jews and different visions of authentic Jews. So, in the post-war period, it's after the Holocaust, and also Jews here are suburbanizing and becoming affluent. And there's a lot of concerns about how that affects Jewish culture, and especially how will Jewish youth understand how to be a real Jew in this context. They're not going to understand, the life in the shtetl or in the urban ghettos of the Lower East Side. So camps kind of come in as these saving graces of the Jewish community, and people put a lot of their faith in summer camping because it's immersive. Yeah. So the Yiddishist summer camps, most of which kind of ended by the 1980s, are super fascinating.
And that's kind of how you came into what you're doing right now. You went to an immersive environment and got into Yiddish.
And I'm a product of also a sleepaway camp. And
camps,
even though I don't identify as a Zionist so much anymore, I definitely know that, a lot of who I am came from an incredibly transformative experience that happened year after year after year. And I have more memories from camp than I do of anything that happened in my everyday life. So I definitely know how powerful it is. So it's good to look at the sources and kind of know that.
Right. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. What is your religious upbringing, or what is the relationship to religion in your upbringing?
I grew up kind of a mix. My mom's side is really secular, kind of reform, but really just secular. And my dad's side, there's some Orthodox elements and some conservative elements. So I grew up with all three denominations, and I kind of reject all three of them to some degree. I mean, I'm observant. I keep Shabbos to a degree, and I like going to synagogue on Friday nights, and but I'm like egalitarian, traditional, kind of not. I don't really identify with conservative Judaism, but for example, in Israel, I found myself finding that conservative Judaism did work for me. Like in that context, I realized, okay, yeah, I don't identify as conservative, but if I have to pick a synagogue in this country where there are like a lot of, not limitations, but there's less going on than there is in New York, then I'll go to a conservative synagogue. And so I grew up this kind of mix, and Yiddish was not part of my upbringing at all, except that we used a lot of loan words from Yiddish, little words like kepi, and I don't know.
Meshuggah,
all sorts of words, but we never spoke about Yiddish or Ashkenazis or anything of the sort.
Interesting. But you say you had kind of a Zionist upbringing, and that's kind of gone away. Why? Where did it go? What happened?
I mean, when I was younger, Zionism was just taught to me as fact, is that this is the only way to be. And I still really love Israel. I spend a lot of time there. My boyfriend's Israeli, so I've kind of ended up in the situation where I'm back and forth a lot. Mm-hmm. But I just don't really relate to cultural Zionism anymore, because I just realized that it isn't really who I am or where I'm from. While what's going on in the diaspora and here in New York is who I am and where I'm from, and there's no reason to think that that's less good or less important than what's going on in Israel, or that Jewish life here is less vibrant. I think that inherent in Zionism is a bit of shlilat hagula, like the negation of exile, and I just don't negate it anymore. I say this is legitimate. This is good. This is good Jewish communal life. This is good Judaism. It's not all going down the drain. I mean, since Jews started coming to America, there's been voices that say, like, this is where it's all going to end. And I just don't think it's ending. I think it's really vibrant here, and we have a lot of freedom here, and that, a lot of what inspires me about Judaism and Jewish life is happening here and not in Israel. And that's legit. So, yeah, cultural Zionism doesn't speak to me anymore, and political Zionism, well, that's a whole other story that I'd rather not even open up. But
next podcast.
But actually being in Israel, that doesn't feel like a contradiction. I mean, it's like I live in America, but am I a giant patriot? Am I just like, waving an American flag and talking about how much I love this guy? I love where I'm from, but I'm not really a nationalist either way, and there are a lot of Israelis who aren't. So it's been actually really easy to kind of negotiate not really identifying with Zionism and being in Israel, because they're not really contradictory.
Right. I mean, in the same way. You don't have to be a nationalist America to love America or to be an American.
Yes.
You might be a New Yorker. You might be a Tel Aviver or a Jerusalemite, but more than you're an Israeli. You're more about the community that you're in, I suppose. I
mean, what's unfortunate about Israel is that the government is now kind of trying to say that you can't be there if you're not a Zionist, which is it's really problematic. I know, right? Yeah. I've got a boyfriend there. I can't be blocked out. It's very distressing.
I send a copy to the Israeli government. Whenever I do one.
They'll know.
They never get back to me for whatever reason, but
the good thing is, if I write anything about Israel, I'll just write it in Yiddish, and they won't have anyone hired
they don't
to
have
read
anything
it.
To do with that.
No, they don't have anything to do with that at all.
So you talked about yourself as an egalitarian Jew. Is that kind of where you would identify now? Are you somewhere? Do you see it as a spectrum from Reform to Conservative to Orthodox? Where do you place yourself?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, in New York, I feel that I can be kind of a shapeshifter and go around to different types of minyanim and synagogues, and just kind of know who I am as someone that believes that women should have an equal role in the synagogue, and I keep Shabbat, but not kind of in a dogmatic, I believe that God needs me to, wants me to do this, needs me to do it, or I don't even know if I believe per se in the God of Judaism. But in Israel, actually, that kind of changed my perspective a bit. I felt that I had less tolerance for Orthodox Judaism in Israel than I do here. Because here I feel that I can just kind of go into an Orthodox synagogue for a day and then I can leave, and it's not stepping on my liberties or something. But in Israel, because of the Rabbanut, because of the way the government's run, it's institutionalized. It's like this is legitimate Judaism, and everything else is basically not. So now in Israel, I refuse to go to Orthodox synagogue.
Says that here, but nobody.
It doesn't matter, because a religion
nobody
here
cares in the government. Yeah.
Religion here is like a tax exempt organization. That's like you could start a religion. That's doesn't matter.
I should.
You should.
Yeah.
So that changed my perspective. Well, here, and I wonder now that I'm back, if that'll change again, and I'll feel like, okay, I can go to Orthodox synagogue today, or even a Hasidic one, because I speak Yiddish and I really like interacting with Hasidim.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I guess you'll see.
Yeah. It's an evolving situation.
Yeah. So you said you don't believe in the Jewish God. Which God do you believe in?
I don't mean like the Jewish God. I believe
Which
in
one?
Baal? No. I don't really concern myself with the question of God that much at all. I think that Judaism is a community for me, and it's a great way of feeling connected to a culture. And I like ritual a lot. And I feel like ritual gives my life meaning and order. And it doesn't really matter to me whether or not there's a God. I don't think if I thought there was a God, I would do things to a much more stringent extent. Mm-hmm. That wouldn't be my interpretation of what to do anyway. So I just don't really concern myself with it. Like my gut, probably there isn't a God, but who knows? And it doesn't really matter because it's not going to change how I act. I'm still going to try to be a decent person, and that's it,
You talked about ritual. Do you relate a lot to a text?
No.
Okay.
So that's what's funny about doing this.
Fun.
It's like I feel that I used to be really self-conscious about the fact that I don't relate to Jewish text. And, I would go to all these lefty Jewish circles and be like, let's do a text study. And I don't want to do a text study. I really don't. And then I just sort of accepted that, okay, I'm a Jewish historian. I speak Yiddish. I have all these other elements of Jewishness, and I don't have to make myself feel bad about not being particularly into or literate in this one. But that said, I'm actually really excited to do it. And I think, like everything, it's evolving. And maybe later in life, I'll get more interested in text. And, I wasn't interested in Yiddish 4 years ago. So who knows?
Yeah. And now you're creating a space on the internet. You're producing a podcast.
Yeah.
That is Yiddish. You said that VAYBERTAYTSH.
VAYBERTAYTSH, yeah.
VAYBERTAYTSH. That means kind of like women translation or women
yeah.
or a wife translation.
Yeah.
What would you call this translation in Yiddish?
David Tuchman. I really don't know. I'd have to think about it. Ask me at the end. Maybe I'll have a better sense.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was going to ask you what your favorite story in the Tanakh, but it sounds like you don't have as much of a relation to the text or the Tanakh. Do you have a favorite story or character?
No.
Okay. Well, then let's get into it. Are you guys ready to read the Bible?
Yeah.
Woo!
Woohoo!
This is... what is this? This is Torah, a loose translation, Book 4, In the Desert, Episode 1, In the Desert, Chapter 1, in which God decides to count everybody, something he could totally do himself. Numbers 1:1 to 1:19.
On the first day of the second month of the second year after leaving Mitzrayim, Yehovah spoke to Moshe in the Sinai desert. Together with Aaron, he said, count the number of men in Yisrael, 20 and up, by their families and their fathers' houses. These guys will join Yisrael's army.
Now we have an army.
The heads of the tribes will help you count. I will list their names right now. Your second year census leaders are...
I'm going to put in, I think, like the 1990s Chicago Bulls NBA Finals entrance music here, so we really pump it up. Yeah.
That one?
Well, it'll be in edit.
Okay.
Now we're just going to sound silly,
yeah,
but cue it right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
From Ruvain, Elitzor, the son of Shdayor. From Shimon, Shlumiel, the son of Tsori Shaddai. From Yehuda, Nachshon, the son of Aminadav. From Yisachar, Netanel, the son of Tzuar. From Zevulun, Eliav, the son of Chelon.
These guys have silly names, don't
Yeah,
they?
they have really silly names. I'm like freaking out that I'm going to say it wrong, but it doesn't really matter.
Nobody knows.
From Ephraim, son of Yosef, Elishama, the son of Amihud. From Menashe, son of Yosef, Gamliel, the son of Pedatsur.
Pedatsur. Can I do it?
Yeah.
From Binyamin, Avidan, the son of Gidoni.
From Dan, Achietzer, maybe, the son of Abishaddai. From Asher, Pagiel, the son of Achran. From Gad, Eliasaph, the son of Deuel. Deuel? And from Naphtali, Achira, the son of Enan.
That are your second year census leaders.
These men have been picked by their tribes as presidents. They lead thousands.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm. That same day, Moshe and Aharon gathered the presidents and also literally everyone else and counted by family and by tribe all the men over 20.
Do you think they made the women gather even though they definitely wouldn't have been counted? Probably.
Yeah. Just like Yehovah commanded Moshe. This went down in the Sinai desert.
That's chapter 1. Chapter 2, in which the count from Sesame Street totally blows his load. Numbers 120 to 154. Yes, it's that kind of Bible.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that is,
So I'm getting new names for... Okay,
Onan.
I'll get there. Ruvain, Yisrael's firstborn, had 46,500 men over 20 who could go out and fight. Shimon had 59,300 men. Gad had 45,650 men. Yehuda had 74,600 men. Yisachar had 54,400 men. Zebulun had 57,400 men. Yosef's son Ephraim had 40,500 men. Joseph's son Manasseh had 32,200 men. Dan had 62,700 men. Asher, yeah. It says Asher. Asher had 41,500 men.
One left.
Naphtali had 53,400 men. That's how many men Moshe and Aaron counted.
All in one day.
Also, there were 12 presidents of Yisrael, one for each father house. Okay. Yeah. The grand total of the sons of Yisrael from 20 years and up who could fight in the army was 603,550.
So here's something interesting. I counted up all these numbers, and it only came to 568,150, which is 35,400 off. So when this was written, Jewish accountants had yet to exert their dominance, I guess.
I see. Is that because the Levites were not counted, which is also the next line?
I suppose so.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Why didn't you count the Levites? Yehovah said to Moshe. It's because you'll put the Levites in charge of altar of witnessing, its tools, and all the other stuff it's got. They can carry the sanctuary and its tools and take care of it while they camp around it.
So that doesn't explain it, though, because that means they're not going to fight.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. When the sanctuary travels, the Levites will take it down. When the sanctuary is ready to go up, they'll put it together. Any normal person who gets near them dies.
Kind of out of nowhere death penalty there.
The rest of the sons of Yisrael will camp according to their flags and their phalanxes. The Levites will camp around the tent of witnessing, so I won't get pissed off at everybody.
God has some, pretty serious rage issues. This is the same, it's actually the same word, I think, that's used where back in, 2 books ago, where 2 of our own sons brought some strange flame into the sanctuary, and God's wrath shot out and burned them to death. So he has to hold it in. He doesn't like it when things are not in the right place.
Yeah. Last line. The sons of Yisrael did everything Yehovah commanded Moshe.
Thank God. That's chapter 2. Chapter 3, in which God arranges the caravan. Numbers 2:1 to 2:34.
All the sons of Yisrael should camp near their flags and their father's family, Yehovah said to Moshe and Aaron. They should be around the tent of witnessing, but not too close. Yehuda's camp should pitch its tents to the east. Nachson, the son of Aminadav, is their president. According to the poll, they have 74,600 men. Yisachar will camp next to Yehuda. Their president is Netanel, the son of Tzuar. They have 54,400, according to their polling. Zebulun will also be next to Yehuda. Their president is Eliav, the son of Chelon. They number 57,400. There are 186,400 in the Yehuda camp.
Math is right this time, though.
During travel times, they go first. Reuven's camp flew its flag to the south. Their president was Elitzur, the son of Shteur. There were 46,500 of them.
This sounds so much better in Hebrew, doesn't it?
I guess so. I mean, but these numbers are probably exactly why, Torah doesn't rivet me sometimes,
yes.
Just, there's some that are some portions are very good, but this is one of those,
some slight variations in the sentences so that I wouldn't fall asleep translating it. But in Hebrew, it's the exact same words in the exact same places. The only thing that's different is the name.
I feel like I always end up at shul on the morning when it's, the counting. It's just every time. Okay. Shimon camped with them. Their president was Shlumiel, the son of Surishadai. There were 59,300 Shimonites. God was also with Reuven and had appointed Eliasaph, the son of Ruel, as president. All 45,650 of them. Altogether, the camp of Reuven contained 151,450 men.
Correct again.
They traveled second. The tent of witnessing will travel with the camp of Levites in the middle of the camps. Ephraim will fly his camp's flag on the west. Their president is Elishamar, the son of Amihud. They've got 40,500 people. Manasseh will camp next to them. Their president is Gamliel, son of Pedatzor. They've got 32,200. Benjamin will be there too, with President Avidan, the son of Gidoni, and 35,400 people. All of Ephraim's camp was 108,100.
Correct.
They traveled third. Dan's camp flew its flag on the north side. Their president was Achietzer, the son of Ammishaddai. There were 60,700 of them. Asher camped with them. President Pagiel, the son of Achran. Count, 41,500. Naphtali was also with them, along with President Achira, the son of Enan, and 53,400 men. All of Dan's camp was 157,600. They traveled last.
So I actually, I liked reading this in shul. Like this was something that I liked to, and I would sign up to read because I would do it really, really, really fast. And it was really fun to see how fast I could go.
What I'm really enjoying is saying out loud all these numbers, which is weirdly not challenging, but I just don't say
it's like
numbers out loud,
right?
like from a page that often. So it's kind of interesting. That's it. Altogether, there were 603,550 dudes just waiting to bro out.
Accurate.
The Levites were not counted with the rest, just like Yehovah commanded Moshe. The sons of Israel did everything Yehovah commanded Moshe. They camped by their flags and traveled according to their families and their fathers' houses.
That's chapter 3. Chapter 4, in which we are reminded who Aaron's family is. Leviticus 3:1 to 3:4.
These are the descendants of Aharon and Moshe on the day Yehovah talked to Moshe on Mount Sinai. Aharon's sons were Nadav, the firstborn.
Dead.
Avihu.
Dead.
Elazar.
Alive.
Itamar.
Alive.
Those were Aharon's sons. The Kohens.
Coins.
Oh, the Kohanes. I thought that was a C. Wow, I'm blind. Who were anointed and had their hands filled to Kohen. Nadav and Avihu.
Kohen is a verb. Kohen, by the way, new season. Let's just set some terms. Kohen is the priest. They also Kohen in that they like perform their priestly duties, and it's just a weird word that the Torah uses.
Interesting.
I sometimes feel like at the beginning of each of these books, it just has to lay out everybody where they all are, and it just goes on and on.
Right. Nadav and Avihu died in front of Yehovah when they brought him weird fire in the Sinai desert.
Thanks for bringing that up, God.
They didn't have any sons. Elazar and Itamar Kohaned just right up their father's face.
Yes.
What does right up their face mean? Is that like slang I don't know that the cool kids say?
That's
I don't know what
some
that means.
weird Torah idiom that's used. It says that they Kohaned in their father's face, like a Panei.
Wow.
Avihu.
Does that not mean before?
It probably means that they
their
did
father?
it in front of them or for him. But sometimes I like to use an idiom literally because it makes things weirder. That's chapter 4. Chapter 5, in which God does something that is not at all nice, but he makes it sound nice anyway. Leviticus 3:5 to 3:39.
Bring the Levites to Aharon the Kohen, Yehovah said to Moshe, and have them stand in front of him so they can serve him. They'll work in the sanctuary and take care of the service for everyone. They'll also be in charge of the tent of witnessing's tools. You'll give the Levites to Aharon and his sons. They belong to him. Also, I will appoint Aharon and his sons to keep the Kohenship. Any normal man who comes near them must die. You see,
it's like the president. They got a secret service to just take people out when they approach them.
Indeed. You see, instead of taking every firstborn womb opener?
Womb opener.
Is that one word?
Yes.
Womb opener? I was like, womb opener.
That's the actual word. It's the first one who opens a womb.
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah.
Womb opener. I've made the Levi's mine. All the firstborns belong to me.
Wait, but you just said you wouldn't. Okay.
From the day I smacked down every firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim, I sanctified every firstborn in Yisrael, from man to beast, to me. I am Yehovah. Count every male Levi, 1 month old and up, by their fathers' houses and their families.
See, this is where it gets different, because everyone else is counted by 20 and up. The Levi's are a month and up.
Right. Count every male Levi 1 month old and up by their fathers' houses. Oh, I just said that, didn't I? Moshe counted them, just like Yehovah's lips commanded. These were their names: Gershon, Livni, Shimi, Kehat, Amram, Yitzhar, Hebron, Uziel, Merari, Machli, Mushi?
Mushi.
I really think that we should bring back these names. I want to name my kid Uziel.
There are so many awesome Hebrew names that have just been forgotten.
I mean, yeah, some of these are around, like
Utz,
Zippy Livni,
Booz.
and Gershon is sort of around.
Yes.
But like
Uziel?
I want to name my kid Uziel, Hebron, or Yitzhar. It's just or Mushi. Just go with Mushi. That's great. There were 7,000.
Doo-doo.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
Israeli
around.
names are
Yeah.
ridiculous. Dudu,
Guy
Manishma
Penis.
Dudu, Guy Penis, Moran, just endless. There were 7,500 boys over a month old in the Gershon family. They camped west of the sanctuary. Their president was Eliasaph, the son of Lael. They were in charge of the tent of witnessing, the sanctuary, the tent, the cover, the screen door to the tent of witnessing.
Yeah, screen
The
door crew.
The hangings of the courtyard, the screen door to the courtyard.
Woo!
That's around the sanctuary and the altar and everything that has to do with their work. The Kahat family had 8,600 boys over a month old doing their holy work.
I kind of feel like the 2 months old were not really picking their weight.
Also, I feel like the Kahat family is totally a name in Israel.
Yes.
Yeah.
They own a few opera houses.
Yeah. They camped by the south side of the sanctuary. Their president was Elitzaphan, the son of Uziel.
I think Ivan Uziel was the villain in the Power Rangers movie, right?
They were in charge of the ark, the table, the candelabra, the altars, and all their holy tools, the cover, and everything that had to do with that stuff. Since Elazar, the son of Aharon, was the top Kohen president, he oversaw all their work. The Merari family had 6,200 little boys. That's a lot of boys.
Mm-hmm.
Their president was
There
Suriel.
were thousands of people working on this tiny little tent thing.
It's crazy. Their president was Suriel, the son of Avichail. By the way, I feel like the tents evoke like a Burning Man situation.
Oh, it was totally Burning Man. There were like millions of
Yeah.
people in this
crazy.
this desert situation.
I never went to Burning Man, but
Burning incense,
I feel like I
throwing
can
oil
envision
all
it.
over each other,
Oh yeah,
sacrificing animals. That's what happens at Burning Man, right?
probably some tent does that. I feel like everything happens there. They camped in the north of the sanctuary. They were in charge of the walls of the sanctuary, its bars, its pillars, its sockets, and all their tools and work. All the pillars around the courtyard, their sockets, their pins, and their cords.
Boring. You know, they were totally jealous of the screen door crew.
Probably. Moshe, Aharon, and their sons camped just to the east of the tent of witnessing, guarding the sanctuary and all the sons of Yisrael. Any weirdo that came had to die. It's like at my house.
Yeah.
There were 20.
We don't know you. You have to die now.
I think this is 22,000, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
Okay.
22,000. Yeah.
There were 22,000 Levites who were over a month old.
That's chapter 5. Chapter 6, in which God is kind of weird. Numbers 340 to 351.
Count all the firstborn sons in the sons of Yisrael who are 1 month or older.
Oh, this guy's worse than the count.
Jehovah said to Moshe, and make the Levites and their animals mine instead of all the firstborn boys and animals in Yisrael. Mine, not like an active kind of mining verb.
No.
Make
that
them
would
mine.
not
Got
be
it.
Nice.
Moshe counted like
Would
Jehovah.
belong to maybe better? Maybe, yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I just thought,
Yeah.
was there mining and can animals do that? I don't know. Moshe counted like Jehovah commanded him. There were 22,273 firstborn boys over a month old. Take the Levites and their animals, Jehovah said to Moshe, instead of the firstborn sons and animals of Yisrael. They will be my Levites. I am Jehovah.
You just said that, man.
He's very repetitive guy.
Yeah.
Now here's how you have to deal with redeeming the remainder of 273 you get when subtracting the Levites from the firstborns.
Oh my God, seriously?
Take 5 holy shekels for each extra one. A shekel is 20 gerahs. Give them to Aharon and their sons to redeem the leftover. Moshe took 1,365 holy shekels in redemption money for the remainder of the firstborn. He gave it to Aaron and his sons by Jehovah's lips, just like Jehovah commanded Moshe.
I was going to say, I feel like Jewish schools are totally missing out on like using these details for word problems for math class, but they must use these. There must be some Jewish school that does this, right?
Probably. Also, I want to just add, like, I'm not that big on Tanakh, but I do like reading Torah in the synagogue. And my question is, are these more kind of mundane parshas also more mundane in trope noise? Like, are they more predictable because these are like repetitive sentences, so they repeat?
Like what I was saying,
can do them
that
fast.
section, you can do them really fast because not only is it the same sentence structure and the same words in every sentence, it's also the exact same trop.
That's so easy.
So it's read the exact
Maybe
same
I
way.
should read that in synagogue. I never get that.
Absolutely. It's like people are like, oh my God, that one's 52 parakim long. That's 52 verses. How do you do it? It's like, because you're just doing the same thing over and over.
Noted. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
do it. Yeah. The second aliyah Levi in Bamidbar is
Got
that
it.
really easy one.
I'm doing it next year.
Awesome. That's chapter 6 this year. I think it's
This
still
year,
coming
right?
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is chapter 7 in which God assigns more work to people. Leviticus 4:1 to 4:16.
Count the number of men between 30 and 50 in the Kahat family who can join the crew working in the tent of witnessing. Jehovah said to Moshe and Aharon, "Now I'm going to tell you what the sons of Kahat will do. They are in charge of the Holy of Holies. When the camp travels, Aharon and his sons will take down the screen and cover the Ark of Witness. They'll put a dolphin skin cover over it, wrap a turquoise sheet around it, and put the staffs under it."
Yes, dolphin skin was used in the sanctuary. That was super fun.
That's kind of weird. I mean, it's all weird, but
I mean, I don't know how they got in the desert. But
yeah, that's a good question. It's really dolphin? How could they
that
get
was
it?
the translation that I found. Some
Okay.
say narwhal.
I guess they imported it. You know?
Yes, exactly.
They'll put a turquoise cloth over the face table and put the plates, the pans, the bowls, the jars for pouring, and the eternal bread on top. I'm really happy in that sentence you have a pop filter.
Mm-hmm.
Then they'll cover it with a scarlet cloth, and then cover that with a cover of dolphin skin and put the staffs under it. They'll cover the candelabra, its candles, its tongs, its snuff dishes, and all the oil tools used for it with the turquoise cloth. Wrap it all in dolphin skins and put it on a rod. They'll spread a turquoise cloth over the gold altar to cover it, then cover that with a dolphin skin cloth.
So do you
and
know
then
how
put
many
the
dolphins had to
staffs on
die?
it. Maybe I need to get some of this dolphin skin cloth. Does it have like good cleaning properties? Is it?
I mean, they used it to wrap oily tools, so presumably.
Yeah.
Or just
I don't like the
leather.
sound of oily tools. Okay, they'll take all the services all the service tools used for the holy, put a turquoise cloth over them, cover them with dolphin skin, and put them on a bar. They'll wrap the ashes of the altar in a scarlet cloth. They'll put all the tools used for its
When they're
service on
taking
top.
The ashes.
The fire pans, the flesh hooks, the shovels, the basins, all the tools of the altar, wrap them in dolphin skin and put the staffs on it.
I really like the way you said flesh hooks.
Flesh hooks, because it's like flesh hooks,
Flesh hooks.
but it's spelled FLESHOOKS. So I was like, flesh hooks. I don't know. It made sense to me. When Aaron and his sons have finished wrapping up the holy and all the tools of the holy, the sons of Kahat will carry it all. They won't touch the holy or they'll die. That's what the sons of Kahat will do. Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the Kohen, will do the work of the oil of the light and the smoky incense, the meal offering, and the oil of anointing, the work of all the sanctuary in the holy and its tools.
Oh boy, that's chapter 7. Chapter 8, in which I don't even know what's happening. This is the last chapter in Bamidbar. It's been a pretty riveting, fun one.
Oh, yeah.
God just assigning work willy-nilly, counting people. No wonder people fall asleep in shul.
Yeah, I mean, there are parshas that are riveting.
There
This
are
is just
parshas where
not-
things happen.
I just
but-
do feel like the days I manage to get up Saturday morning and like don't want to just sit home reading the Times are the days when it's like this. And so I'm like, I don't really like Torah. But it's just because I'm going on the wrong weeks, I think. But I love reading Torah.
This
in Hebrew.
is chapter 8, in which I don't even know, numbers 417 to 419.
Don't cut off the Kahat crew. Wait, don't cut the Kahat crew off, yeah? From the rest of the Levites. Jehovah said to Moshe and Aaron, this is what you should do to them, so they will live and not die when they go into the Holy of Holies. Aaron and his sons will come, and everyone will put the man on their work, and they will not see the covered stuff in the Holy and die.
Sure. I don't know what that means, but sure. That's chapter 8. That's episode 1. Thank you so much, Sandy. Thank you for reading with us.
It was Sizgavena Farganigan. It was my pleasure.
Thank you. Let's hear it for Sandy. Yeah. Oh my God. Now we come to the part of the show where we have a Devar Torah, which literally means Torah word, if you translate it extremely literally. That's where I ask every one of my guests if they can condense everything they just read into a single word. So what do you think your Torah word is for this one?
Oh, man.
I have one, actually.
One word. I mean, obviously it could just be counting, but that's just too easy, you know?
It is. It's right. It's pretty on the nose.
It's on the nose.
Mine is men.
Yeah, there's a lot of men.
There's a lot of men.
There's a lot of babies.
There's a lot of babies. There are a lot of 1-year-old or 1-month-olds
Yeah.
doing all sorts of work. It's interesting because it says to count the kids 1 month and up, and then it's like actually 30 to 50.
Yeah.
Those are the ones we actually want to do work. So I don't know why they did that first counting. I guess it's like you go into training from a month old. You got to learn how to work those dolphin skins.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting too how like it's describing all of the ways that people, I guess, engage in their community. There's the men who go off to war, and then there are the men who work and do God's service in the sanctuary, but they're all men. There's no real role for women here.
It's a divide and conquer situation. Yeah, and there are no women here, so I guess it's good you had me because
yes, absolutely.
brought the feminism today.
Is there another word that you can think of? You didn't feel satisfied with counting.
I didn't because I feel like it's accurate, but it's not fun. But maybe that's okay. I mean, I feel like I've been fun enough, you know?
Yeah.
I guess I would say dolphin skin.
Okay.
That's one word. It's really two, but
yes.
I don't think I'll ever forget that because I didn't know.
Yes. I mean, it's one translation that I found. It's the one that I'm going to go with because
what is it in Hebrew?
I can't remember right now. Chashim. Orot Chashim.
And would you say it's dolphin skin?
Chashim. Tachash, right?
Some people say it's like actually like goat stuff that was kind of blue.
Okay.
Oh.
Dolphin is a popular translation.
Yes. Goat is way more boring, I think.
But it makes more sense because where did they get a dolphin? I just don't get that
but you're talking about a book where God talks out of a volcano and splits the sea.
I guess trying to make sense out of it is not worth it.
Yeah, it's more fun if it doesn't make sense.
You're right.
What is there? I mean, how does this sit with you? I know that like not a lot happens, but as a totality, like what do you take from this portion of the narrative? I guess.
Well, I really liked. I don't know what the original is, but I liked how you use the word family for all these groups instead of, I guess, tribe. Or is it usually a tribe?
There are a number of words. There's like it does use. I think it's mishpacha.
Right. Oh, so in the Hebrew it's family.
But it's always by their father's houses, by their shevet, and I said like house every time.
Right.
I wasn't crazy about tribe.
Yeah.
Or staff.
Well, I mean, just the numbers of these families and thinking about dividing people up into families rather than kind of like groups as we do today. That kind of struck me a little bit, thinking about people as family.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of laws. There are the laws in the previous book about like the land and how like the family owns the land, and even if you sell it, it returns to the original family or the original tribe's ownership.
Yeah.
During the Jubilee year, which is a really crazy way of managing land ownership. Like nothing ever gets truly sold. It has to go back, and that's worked into the price of it.
Right.
But it's interesting too, like the organization, like how they count everybody and then they decide where they are.
Yeah.
Right. Like God organizes everybody on different sides of the, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting point. I mean, in general, censuses and counting, it makes you, it's kind of interesting and it's complex. It's like complex to imagine how they aim to get those numbers accurately, if that's possible.
If that really happened, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like 600,000 people. Yeah. Not just 600,000 people, 600,000 men over 20.
Right.
Which means that there were probably, first of all, these men were polygamous. So who knows how many women, and then who knows how many children. We're talking multiple millions of people, or at least like 2 million people just wandering around the desert. It's not just it's always like, I have to break the idea that you have of just like the Jews in the desert, like just a small tribe of nomads. Like this is a massive.
The image is like maximum 100 people.
Right, exactly. It's always like just a bunch of people in robes with like 8 goats, and Moses is just standing in front of them. Like this is a massive
huge
group of refugees almost.
Yeah.
Who are just wandering around.
Yeah.
Do you have any other final thoughts on this, or anything you want to add before we close out?
Final thoughts. I wasn't prepared for that.
That's all right.
I was just reading, but well, I think I'm looking forward to paying better attention to this one when it comes up in a couple months.
Yeah.
And reading it in Hebrew and seeing how it matches up.
So this is one where what I often do is I try to look at the Rashi, the commentator kind of grabs from a bunch of sources in Midrash and has his own little things that he adds to it to try to find something crazy to add to my commentary, and he had nothing.
Yeah, it's a little
dry.
little
But thank you
dry.
for reading it.
Yeah, thanks.
Is there anything, how can people find your podcast? How can they find you on the internet?
Yeah, so I'll spell it out because that's important. So
Yes.
my website for the podcast is www.vaybertaytsh.com. If it's easier, my personal website is sandrafox.net, and then you can just find it through there. And we're also on iTunes and Stitcher and pretty much wherever you get your podcasts. Yeah, and we're having a season 2 release party in Brooklyn on April 30th. So
Awesome.
follow us on Facebook for details about that. If you don't speak Yiddish, you're still invited. You can still support our cause.
Will we understand what's going on at the party?
Yeah, I'm gonna whatever toast or whatever I do in front of people. I'm gonna have a projector with my words behind me. I might deviate
That's
from the
great.
page, but at least you'll get the icker.
The gist, yes. And I will, when I post this, I'll put a little link to your website in
Great.
the podcast description so people can find it.
Thanks, Day.
You're welcome, Sandy. That's a name that people called me 5 years ago. You can find the podcast, as always, on Facebook, Twitter. Gosh, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and the website. Listen on Stitcher, iTunes podcast app. Share it. Here's a fun way to share it. Transcribe the episode. Get like an ink pen and write out transcriptions of it on like goat skin parchment paper, then attach it to 2 wooden rods, roll it up, and keep it in a box, and then ship it to your local mosque, and they'll love it. Rate and review it on iTunes. That really helps. As always, I want to thank some people. I want to thank everybody here for showing up tonight. Thank you so much. Give yourselves a hand. I want to thank Sandy Fox for being my lovely guest. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
I want to thank everybody in my life who supports me, my lovely family. And again, everybody for listening. Thank you so much. And make sure to listen again, because next time in the Bible,
I do threaten people I love with karet, which is being cut off in the world to come. So, there you go.